If you are watching this video, there is a good chance that part of your problem in your love life, why you're not getting everything that you want from a man, why you're not being cherished and taken care of by a man who loves you and adores you, is because you are too agreeable. Many women are trained, they are conditioned, they are indoctrinated to believe that they should be really agreeable and that is going to get their needs met. And there is some truth to that, absolutely. If you are a follower of my work, if you've watched other videos from me, you know that I teach women how to be feminine, which means how to be submissive, how to follow a man, how to let go of control, how to be open. And of course, that kind of woman, when you learn how to be that woman, of course you're being agreeable. That's a good thing when you are doing it, when you are honoring your heart. When you know how to respect yourself, when you know how to communicate your needs and feelings and don't dishonor yourself by complying or fawning to undevoted leadership. But the problem is most women, when they are being agreeable, that's not what they are doing. They aren't doing what I teach in these videos. They're being agreeable in a way where they are actually communicating low self-worth. They're communicating that their needs and their feelings are not as important as the man's. And so they are agreeable in a way that is actually going to cause men to lose attraction for them, lose connection to them, and lose inspiration to take care of them. And in this video, we are going to talk about the difference between the type of woman I am helping you be, which is really just bringing out that beautiful feminine woman out of yourself. It's who you really are underneath your fear and your shame. The difference between that woman and the woman, the agreeable woman that most women are showing up as. We're going to talk about the difference and then why this is such a problem and what you need to do to shift to actually be agreeable in a really healthy way where your needs are going to be met, where a man is going to want to really take care of you. Before we get into that, I'm going to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Zach Rohde. I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication. This is what I have taught to hundreds of my Women Academy students where they have made these shifts and learned how to attract this kind of care and devotion in their own love lives. And you're going to learn how to do the same thing by watching this video and watching so many other videos that I have created for you. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that below, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like this video because I'm going to make sure it's a really good one for you. Okay, so agreeableness. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me for a moment. So in my love life, I have dated many different women. And in my personal experience, there's a whole red pill community of angry, bitter men talking about how terrible women are. That is not my experience at all. And that's really their own co-creation because of their own people pleasing and other, bitterness and victim mindset that they have. My experience with women is that women are very agreeable. When I would go out and date women, almost all of them would basically follow my lead and do what I wanted. And they wanted to be agreeable. They wanted to please in some kind of way, including my wife, who is one of the most disagreeable women that I know. And there's actually a reason that I was attracted to her because of that, which we may get into in this video. But even her early on, especially in the first year of us dating, before I really proved that I was not a devotional, thoughtful, considerate man back then, she was very agreeable. She would go along and do what I wanted. And she was actually somewhat a little bit out of touch with what she really needed and what she was feeling. And this is what happens to women when they really fall in love with a man, right? It's much easier to be disagreeable with a man you don't really like. It's like, I'm not really attracted to you. You don't turn me on in any kind of way. I don't really look up to you. Yeah, it's easy to be disagreeable. But when it's a man you really like, you really want him to like you, and you're falling deeply in love with him, what happens? You tend to be very agreeable, overly agreeable. Doing things, and I'm not even talking about, sleeping with a man too soon or something like that. But it's like you're always doing, okay, here's a good example. I should actually do a different video just about this one. But doing all the things that he wants, but not doing the things that you want. So it's like, I don't know, going to baseball games and going out shopping to get his whatever, man's getting a chainsaw or what, video games or whatever, sitting with him and playing video games, doing things for him while he's playing video games. And you're going into his life, and because you enjoy just being with him, being in his presence, enjoying his energy, enjoying his attention, you are just happy doing whatever he wants. On the surface, that might sound fine. Like, what is wrong with that? Well, the problem is that you're not fully connected to really what you need and what makes you happy. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your time with your man, doing whatever it is that he's doing. That's a beautiful thing. The problem is when you're so focused on what's making him happy and not speaking up for what your desires are and what you really need, just because you're happy enough just being in his company, getting his attention, right? And that's relatively much easier to do early on during the honeymoon period. Later in life, when you're married and have children, it becomes much more difficult to do. And that's when a lot of the resentment and hurt feelings and arguments and everything come out, because you're done being in that agreeable state, and you tend to become more disagreeable as you realize, like, hey, I'm not really being treated as an equal in the same kind of way. And I don't mean equal in like a feminist kind of way, like, a man's treating you the same way as a man. I mean, he's not treating your needs and your feelings as equally as important as his own. He's not taking you out to do the things that would really make you happy, that would really fill you up. He's just expecting you to be happy with whatever it is that he is doing. So having the selfish background that I did, right? Like, I was not devotional to women, to the feminine, to my wife, to any woman that I was dating. I have experienced this. I would kind of just do whatever the hell I wanted, take women out where I wanted, without really being thoughtful and considering, like, what would really make them happy? What would they really need? What would they really enjoy? And women were just agreeable to it. They were just happy to be with me. And that's a problem. And it's a problem because when you are agreeable like that, when you're basically putting the man's happiness and the man's needs and his interests and everything in front of yours, ahead of yours, you are communicating that you are worth less than he is. You are communicating a lack of self-worth, specifically a lack of feminine self-worth. And the longer that you are communicating that, the less attraction a man is going to have for you, the less connection he's going to feel to you, and the less inspiration he's going to have to take care of you and meet your needs and make you happy by fulfilling your desires. That's not what you want. That's not going to feel very good for you. This isn't something that he consciously decides. This is something that he can just feel in his body, and he probably doesn't even know why. He probably won't be able to articulate it. I can articulate it for you, though. So he loses this desire to really want to take care of you, and other things will happen as well, right? The more that you are agreeable, the more that, he just will text you less, phone you less, check in on you less, do nice things for you, take you out. There'll be more Netflix and chilling. There'll be less commitment. There'll be less of a drive to move towards greater commitment, marriage, all of that stuff. There'll be more questions like, what are we right now? Like, are we still boyfriend and girlfriend? Are we moving things forward? What's happening? And a big part of that is because you're agreeable. Tell me how you're liking this video so far. Tell me what you are realizing. Have there been any insights, realizations, maybe something very uncomfortable for you to recognize in yourself? This is important. And if you've not yet subscribed to this channel, this is a good opportunity for you to do that. Obviously, if you're watching this far, you probably are liking this content. I got a whole bunch more for you. I got hundreds of videos for you to explain so much of this, so much of what is going wrong in your love life and how to turn it all around. Most people out there have no idea what they're talking about when they're giving advice to women. It doesn't matter if they're men coaches, women coaches, whatever experts. Most are, what do you call them, armchair warriors or researchers in their ivory towers that have not actually been in the field to understand this. A big reason why I know this so well is because I've dated hundreds of women, like literally hundreds of women. I've spent a decade of my life just man-whoring myself out and being completely undevotional, being the kind of man that women are often attracted to, but really like end up screwing, it's like you don't get what you want from that kind of man. I've been that man. I'm not proud of being that man at all, but it's helped me really understand men and understand women in a way I otherwise never would have. And then, of course, I also have a decade of being married under my belt as well, 3.5 of which I was also undevotional. Now, I wasn't inspired to take care of my wife, and I didn't understand why. And it wasn't until I understood why and started shifting that everything changed in our marriage in such a beautiful way. Right now, I am really devotional to my wife. I want to take care of all of her needs. I want to make sure that she is happy. And I put in the effort to make sure that happens by me becoming the most devotional, healthiest, masculine, assertive, loving, caring man that I can possibly be for her. And competent, just competent at being able to lead her. So I've experienced this as a man, this phenomena that I'm explaining to you, where it's like, I just don't really feel the desire to lead this relationship further. Or I just don't feel the desire to really take care of a woman that I have chosen. I've experienced this so often. And I didn't, I understood a lot of it. I understood a reasonable amount of psychology and everything back then, but I didn't understand the principles of the masculine and the feminine and how to apply it into the framework of everything else that I was learning. So I understood about agreeableness, but I thought back then that here's what I actually thought. I thought that agreeable women just in general were just weak. They're just too easy. I just couldn't feel their backbone. I knew I could take advantage of them. So I did to an extent, not nearly to the extent that some men do, but I still had somewhat of a conscience. And so I ended up hurting a lot of women because of that and leading a lot of women on. And I don't want that to be your experience. I want my experience. I want my lack of devotion and my experience of hurting women. I want that to be used for good by now understanding this on such a level that I can help you ensure that you don't end up getting hurt by men like me or like anybody, like however they're showing up. Sorry, like the old me. I don't want that to be your experience. If it has been your experience, I want it to stop. And there are ways that you can do that. And a big part of it has to be with not being agreeable in the way that most women are. Okay. So back then I thought just agreeable women, just kind of their doormats. And I ended up finding a woman who's still agreeable, because I really believe that like 99% of women are relatively agreeable when they really find a man that they really like. It's like their kind of like standards and boundaries and stuff sort of go out the window. They compromise themselves. I've seen it with the quote unquote strongest women, including my wife, who like I never felt so much, we'll call it strength, but kind of like just so much self-worth. Like she's a woman who really loves herself and has always really loved herself. And typically, like before meeting me, would just never put up with BS. But she put up with way too much of my BS still. But way less of my BS than women would typically put up with me. And so I found that really attractive. I found like, okay, I can't just get away with anything with her. I actually have to show up in a somewhat decent way with her. Still not nearly the way that I should have. But this is what caused me to initially be really attracted to her, to want to choose her, because I could just feel like I just can't get away with everything. But I still didn't fully treat her in a devotional way. And the piece that I was missing was I didn't understand that a man's job is to fully take care of a woman. So lead a woman, provide for her, protect her, be a gentleman, all of that kind of stuff. Nobody had ever taught me. And I had done like the whole pickup stuff. I was a pickup artist. And even in that, it was more, I don't want to use the word sleazy, but just not devotional, just not teaching men how to grow up, how to properly take care of women and be fully in integrity with women. So because I didn't learn this, I didn't show up in this kind of way for the first 3.5 years of my marriage. And I even had conversations with my wife where it's like we were kind of making fun of women who would just kind of give in and be like really agreeable with men. And I was like, yeah, that's really weak. And she would think that was really weak. But then here we are in this relationship where I'm not devoted to her and she's not really submissive to me. She's not really following my leadership. She's resistant a lot of the time. And I thought that was literally the best there could be because I was stupid. Like now in hindsight, it's so obvious. Of course there's a better way. It's the man who is leading the woman with devotion, and it's the woman who is submitting to her man's lead and receiving that devotion, obviously. But I didn't get that back then. And the difference, okay, so we're going to talk about the difference. First, I'm going to talk about how these shifts happen over time. So in my academy program, most women come into it relatively agreeable, like kind of people pleasers, we'll say giving too much, but I just mean like putting in more effort than the man is putting in. Sort of like the example that I gave at the beginning, right? It says like, oh, okay, we'll go to the baseball game, we'll do, whatever it is that you want to do, and not really speaking up for their needs. The biggest issue that we see in the academy is women who are afraid to truly speak up for themselves, for what they want, for what they need, for what they feel. And if you are afraid to fully speak up for yourself, then you're not going to experience devotion. Not long term. You might meet a people pleaser who wants to take care of you, but that's different than true masculine devotion. Or you might experience devotion short term during the honeymoon phase, but then that eventually wears off. It's not sustainable. Sustainable devotion is only possible if you as a woman are in your self-worth and you are willing to communicate all of your needs. And this is why it's so important. One of the main focuses in the academy is we're teaching you how to communicate. And we call it feminine communication because there's a way to communicate in a much more masculine way. Like my wife, she communicated in a very masculine way. And part of that attracted me to her because at least she wouldn't give in, but she would judge and she would tell me no. And it kind of drove me crazy. But I wasn't inspired to devote to her because of that. Whereas when you learn how to be in your self-worth in a feminine way and share, like, may I please have help with what I'm feeling? And you share your feelings and you use I feel statements, you share real feelings. And like by the way, you should feel something negative if a man is always taking you out to do the stuff that he wants or is mainly doing that and isn't doing much of what you want, not taking you out on dates. He's doing more like Netflix and chill stuff or whatever it is. You should feel that sadness in your body. You should feel some anger. You might feel some fear as well. You might feel other feelings. That is your body telling you, warning you that something is wrong. And women have often just rationalized or gaslit themselves in some kind of way, or just so focused on making the man happy and that brings them happiness that they're not fully in touch with their own feelings and realizing how important it is to communicate them. So we help you communicate them. And so women in the program, they go from, most women who are more on the agreeable spectrum, not all, but most are more on the agreeable spectrum. But we don't teach them to then be disagreeable. And this is where so many, I mean, there's a range of different coaches and experts out there, but a lot of experts are teaching women to basically be more like men. Like, for example, setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is masculine. You shouldn't have to set boundaries with the man that you like. If you're having to set boundaries with the man, either he's the wrong man or you just don't know how to communicate with him and you're not inspiring him when you do that. Saying no, saying I'm not going to do that, being resistant in any kind of way, it's disrespectful to the masculine and it shuts off his devotion. And so you might think, at least if you're new and you haven't watched a bunch of my other videos, you might think, okay, I have to be agreeable then. Like, what's the other choice? I have to be basically a doormat and do whatever he wants. No, what you have to do is, when you're feeling negative stuff that comes up, instead of setting that boundary, instead of saying no, instead of being disagreeable, you stay agreeable. You try to stay receptive. It's like, I want to follow your leadership. I want to submit to you, but I'm really struggling. Like, you can actually say that almost this exact thing, but I'm just kind of giving you an example of the energy that you're communicating with. I'm feeling some frustration. I'm feeling some anger. I'm feeling some sadness because of what's happening. Because, we rarely go out to do the things that I really enjoy. And I don't know what to do. I want to continue doing these other things with you, but I'm starting to get more resentful and resistant, and I don't want to. I don't like how this feels, right? That's basically how you're coming to your man, to communicate what is coming up for you. It's this combination of remaining receptive to his leadership. You're not just like judging him as wrong or like telling him to stop being selfish. You're remaining receptive and you're communicating your pain at the same time and seeing what he does. So that is an act of self-worth. And then if he doesn't shift, well, you can't continue to submit. You can't continue to be agreeable to the same level because you're feeling increasingly bad. You're going to feel that in your body. And you have to continue sharing what is coming up for you using feminine communication. And until your man actually shifts, you cannot be agreeable and continue to submit, because you'd be dishonoring yourself. There's a lot of nuance to this, and I can't go, it's just way too much for the topic of this video. There's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of context to all of this, but this is the gist of self-worth and being agreeable in a truly healthy way, where you want to submit, you want to fully let go with your man, and you're having difficulty because he's not fully taking care of you. And now you're basically inviting him to rise up and be the man that you actually need him to be for you. A much more selfless, devotional, considerate, thoughtful man. In whatever way that looks like. I'm just kind of giving you one example with him leading you to do all this stuff. It could look very different. It could be him leading you to change in all of these ways, but he's not focused on him changing himself. So that's a form of agreeability. There needs to be an energetic match where you can feel in your body that your needs and your feelings and your desires are as important to him in his leadership as his own are. And if not, then there is a problem that needs to be discussed. That's where you have to communicate what's coming up for you. So women in our academy, they learn how to be agreeable in this specific kind of way. And this is what inspires devotion, because now you are respecting yourself and you are respecting the man at the same time. By the way, before I continue, if you are interested in working with us and making these shifts, we basically take you by the hand and show you exactly how to communicate in this kind of way, how to open up, how to be agreeable in a way where you are always respecting yourself, which is naturally inspiring. It makes a man want to step up and take care of you, be the masculine provider and protector that you need and deserve. Go below this video, open up the description, click relationshipyourdreams.com. You're going to see a video, 10-minute video, watch it, and then book a call with me right below that video. And on that call, we will talk all about what's going on in your love life. We'll talk about why you are stuck. Is it because you're being really agreeable? Is it because of something else? I'll tell you everything that I am seeing, so you'll have a lot of clarity about what you need to do to shift and why you're not getting what you're getting. And then we'll also find out together, is our academy program right for you? Can we help you create the incredible shifts that we expect and see from our women clients? And if so, we can talk about our program. You can ask me any questions, and then you can decide whether you'd like to work with us. So that's relationshipofyourdreams.com. Okay, so before we wrap up, I got one more important aspect to this that we really have to talk about, and that is what is going to happen to you if you continue to be agreeable when you're not experiencing a match in devotion, thoughtfulness, consideration from your man. Well, what is going to happen is you're going to continue doing stuff to make your man happy. He's going to lose an increasing amount of devotion and inspiration to take care of you, so things just kind of flip more and more, you then feel increasingly unhappy because he's starting to check out of the relationship, right? I talked a little bit about this earlier. He starts to check out, giving you less time, less affection, less care, less thoughtfulness. You start to build up, well, probably two things, right? One is going to be you're going to get more resentful. It's like, yeah, you're trying to be your best in the relationship and the man's kind of checking out. Yeah, of course you're going to get more resentful the more that happens. And you're probably going to feel some fear, right? Especially if you have big abandonment fears, right? If you're anxiously attached or anything like that, you're going to feel a lot of fear that, yeah, he's going to leave you. He's going to abandon you. And he already is. Like, he's emotionally abandoning you when he's not fully all in, when he's not fully devoted to you. So you're already experiencing emotional abandonment, and then you're afraid that the fear comes that he's going to emotionally abandon you and possibly physically abandon you as well. And then it's this fear. So the fear is going to compel you into fear-based control patterns. So initiating, maybe being more clingy, asking a lot of questions, stepping up more into the masculine role, maybe mothering, that kind of thing. And of course, that's just going to build up more resentments if you're mothering and initiating and he's putting in increasingly less effort. So that's number one. And the resentment is going to make it very difficult for you to communicate your needs and feelings without energetic blame. So then you're going to blame him through nagging, through judging, through being critical, through just having emotional reactions. And that's going to push him away further, right? Because whenever, it doesn't feel good to be blamed, even if a man totally deserves to be blamed for his lack of loving behavior towards you. So that's going to cause him to check out even more. And over time, you're probably going to become less agreeable. So that's what happened to my wife, right? First year, relatively agreeable. Over time, became more and more disagreeable, where she kind of realized, like, this guy's just not really considerate and thoughtful. Why would I want to really make him happy and be flexible and compromise various things if he's not willing to do the same thing for me? So then she became more and more resistant, also more irritated. There's a buildup of resentment, which went on for the first 3.5 years of our relationship. Lucky for me, I realized what is going wrong because I discovered polarity. My masculine instinct really woke up in a really powerful way. And I realized, okay, if I want to fix this, I need to step into the devotion role. I need to start leading my wife with care and lead her out of all of her resistance now, right? Like, she used to be more agreeable. Now when I get her to do something, she's really resistant and argumentative. So I had to learn how to lead her out of that resistance, lead her out of her judgments, lead her out of her disrespect and into being agreeable again. But now she had more self-worth where she wasn't willing to follow my lead unless she could feel my devotion. So now she's actually coming from a better place, even though she had some built-up resentment that she had to work through. Now it's not agreeable from a low self-worth place. It's agreeable from a high self-worth place. She's doing it because she can feel my devotion for her. And that's the difference. And so she became more agreeable, more submissive, more feminine. I became more masculine, more devotional. Now, you can shift this dynamic yourself, right? If you've got a man right now, obviously it's better if he just steps up and he starts leading you and takes care of you and leads you through this whole process like I did with my wife. Good luck with that happening, though. The chances of that happening are extraordinarily small. And if you wait, then you're disempowering yourself. You're basically being a victim, and you're not choosing to act through your own autonomy, your own sovereignty, to be the woman that you are supposed to be. Not even for his benefit, but for yours. You need to choose to be done being masculine. You have to decide to be done with being agreeable in a negative way. You have to decide to shift into your self-worth. And this is true, obviously, for women who are single as well, right? Like, you're looking for a really healthy masculine man who wants to take care of you. Okay, well, work on your unhealthy agreeableness then. And you're going to work on that whether you're in a relationship or not. The primary way you're going to do that is by learning feminine communication, because it's feminine communication that shifts all of your unhealthy patterns. Your agreeable patterns of complying, fawning, avoiding speaking up, kind of like giving a little bit of resistance and then just giving in. Feminine communication is the solution. Letting go is the solution. Becoming more feminine is the solution. And it's not about being who you're not. It's about being who you really are. Underneath that fear. Underneath that fear is, underneath the fear and possibly self-worth, shame stuff, is a woman who is fully in her self-worth. Who's innocent, beautiful, vulnerable, and only willing to submit to a man who is fully devoted to her. She will communicate all of her needs and feelings without holding back because she knows that she is worthy. She knows that her needs matter. She knows that her feelings matter. And she's not going to compromise herself. That's the kind of woman that I am helping you become. You're going to do that by continuing to watch these videos, so keep doing that. And if you are ready for that call now with me, where we will talk all about what's going on in your love life and help you make these shifts, relationshipyourdreams.com. It's in the description. Watch the video, book the call. I'll see you there, and we will have a fantastic time. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you for the next one.